I'm standing in my Austin home office, shadows falling across an oak desk where a certified letter lies, its edges worn, catching the faint glow of a lamp. The room feels heavy, like the weight of a truth I never wanted. Outside, the Austin skyline sparkles, a city of dreams I fought for. The camera lingers on the letter, my name in stark black ink, then pans to a framed photo of Texas stars, a reminder of nights spent dreaming beyond my pain. This moment holds a story of betrayal, resilience, and a fight I never chose. I'm Jessica Reynolds, 34, and I built a multi-million-dollar tech company from nothing, right here in Austin. But this isn't a success story. It's about betrayal, the kind that cuts deepest from those who should love you most. My parents, Linda and Michael Carter, always chose my younger sister, Hannah, over me. Her smile lit their world. I was the shadow they overlooked. I thought I'd buried that hurt, built a life beyond it, until a certified letter arrived on my 34th birthday. Its cold words hit like a Texas storm. They disinherited me, called my success luck, and later demanded what I'd earned. They didn't just reject me. They tried to take everything I'd fought for, clawing at my dreams like vultures. I can still feel the sting of their signatures. Regards, Linda Carter. As if I were a stranger, not their daughter. This is a story of standing tall when family becomes the enemy. It's about the pain of being erased and the strength to rebuild. Under these Texas skies, I learned my worth wasn't theirs to define. If you've ever felt invisible to those who should see you, this story is for you. Maybe your family favored someone else, dismissed your victories, or turned on you when you succeeded. Maybe you've stood under wide Texas stars, wondering why love came with conditions. I know that ache, the betrayal that lingers like a bruise. But I also know the power of rising above it. Stick around as I share how my parents' rejection led to a battle I never expected, and how I found peace on the other side. Your story matters too, let's talk about it. If this hits home, hit that subscribe button to join a community where we share stories of resilience and truth. Drop your story in the comments. Have you faced betrayal from those closest to you? How did you protect your peace? Let's build a space as strong as a Texas oak, where we lift each other up. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Together we can turn pain into power. Under these Austin stars I found my strength. Let's help others find theirs. Subscribe now and let's keep this journey going. Fort Worth in the 90s was my world, a quiet middle-class pocket where life felt small but heavy. Our ranch-style house sat on a sleepy street, its peeling paint and creaky porch a backdrop to my childhood. Dad, Michael Carter, was a car salesman with a quick smile for customers but little time for me. Mom, Linda, worked as a school secretary, her days filled with paperwork and chatter about my younger sister, Hannah. 5 years my junior, Hannah was their sun, their pride, their everything. I was the shadow, always trailing behind, unnoticed. The backyard where Dad tried and failed to grow jalapenos was my refuge, a place to escape the constant reminder of my place in the family hierarchy. Under the sprawling Texas sky, I'd lie in the grass, watching fireflies flicker, wondering why I couldn't shine like Hannah in their eyes. Our home was modest, comfortable but never lavish, with hand-me-down furniture and a fridge stocked with practical meals. Casseroles, not dreams. My parents weren't cruel, not in the obvious ways. They provided, they cared, but their love was uneven, tipped toward Hannah from the moment she was born. I remember Mom braiding Hannah's hair with care, while my tangled ponytail was left to me to sort out. I learned early that I was the practical one, the one who didn't need coddling. Hannah was their delicate star, her every whim a priority. At 7, I'd overhear them planning her birthday, their voices bright with excitement, while mine passed with a store-bought cake and a quick happy birthday. That house, that life, shaped me. Not with warmth, but with a quiet ache that pushed me to prove I was more than their afterthought. I'd stare out my bedroom window at the Fort Worth skyline, faint in the distance, dreaming of a life where I'd matter. This is where my story begins, in a home where love came with conditions, and I learned to fight for my worth. The favoritism wasn't subtle. It was woven into every corner of our lives. First days of school were a stark reminder. Hannah would prance out in new dresses, her shiny shoes clicking on the hardwood, a monogrammed backpack slung over her shoulder, her name stitched in gold thread. I'd trudge behind in thrift store finds, a faded shirt with a stain mom couldn't quite scrub out, or a pair of jeans too big, cinched with a belt. I'd tug at the frayed hem, feeling like I was wearing someone else's life. My straight-A report cards, earned through late nights studying under a dim desk lamp, got a nod from Dad. Nice job, before he turned back to his newspaper. But Hannah's B+ in math. That was cause for celebration. A family dinner at the local steakhouse, her laughter filling the room as Mom and Dad beamed. I sat there, picking at my fries, wondering what I'd have to do to earn that pride. Sports told the same story. I played soccer, pouring my heart into every practice, making regionals my 8th grade year. Neither parent showed up, citing work or errands. Yet Hannah's dance recitals were sacred. Dad would reschedule client meetings, Mom would rearrange her shifts, and they'd sit front row, clapping like she was on Broadway. I'd watch from the sidelines of my own life, my cleats muddy, my victories unseen. Birthdays were the cruelest mirror. My 10th was a $20 gift card to a bookstore, slipped into a plain envelope. Hannah's 10th, a unicorn-themed bash with a rented bounce house, balloons, and a cake Mom spent days planning. I'd hide in my room, clutching that gift card, pretending it was enough, while Hannah's laughter echoed through the house. Even small moments stung. When I fixed a neighbor's computer at 14, earning my first $50, Mom said, "That's nice, but don't let it distract you." When Hannah painted a picture for art class, they hung it on the fridge like it was a masterpiece. I'd stare at that painting, its crooked lines celebrated, while my hustle went unnoticed. Every choice they made drew a line. Hannah was the star, I was the spare. I'd ride my bike through Fort Worth streets, the Texas heat on my back, promising myself I'd build a life where I'd never feel second again. That promise kept me going, even when their love felt like a door slammed shut. The weight of being second best wasn't just a moment, it was a shadow that followed me. Every slight, every overlooked achievement, carved a quiet wound. I'd lock myself in my room after Hannah's lavish birthdays, tears soaking my pillow, asking why I wasn't enough. At 12, I overheard Mom tell a neighbor, "Hannah's our little star. Jessica's just practical." Those words burned, branding me as less, as ordinary. I'd sit on the floor, staring at my reflection in a cracked mirror, wondering what was wrong with me. Why didn't they see me? Why was my effort invisible? I'd sneak out to the backyard, lying under Texas stars, their vastness mocking my smallness, yet fueling my dreams of escape. School became my sanctuary, where teachers praised my work, but even that felt hollow without my parents' pride. I'd bring home honor roll certificates, hoping for a spark of approval, only to watch them glance and move on. Hannah's B+ got ice cream. My perfect grades got silence. I'd clutch those certificates, my hands shaking, feeling like I was screaming into a void. Soccer was my outlet, but playing to empty bleachers broke something in me. I'd score goals, imagining Mom and Dad cheering, only to look up and see strangers. I'd bike home alone, the Fort Worth wind stinging my eyes, telling myself their absence didn't matter. But it did. It always did. I learned to hide the hurt, to smile through the pain, but nights were hardest. I'd lie awake, the hum of cicadas outside my window, replaying every moment I was overlooked, building a wall around my heart. That wall became my strength, but it came at a cost. I stopped expecting their love, stopped seeking their approval. I'd trace constellations through my window, whispering to myself, "You're enough," even when I didn't believe it. The ache of being unseen pushed me to dream bigger, to vow I'd prove them wrong. Those Texas nights taught me resilience, each star a reminder that I could shine, even if they never saw it. That childhood pain wasn't just a memory. It was the fire that forged me, the reason I fought for a life where I'd never be second again. It's why, years later, when they tried to take what I built, I was ready to stand my ground. This is the root of my story. Not revenge, but survival, and the quiet strength to claim my worth. In a world where I felt invisible, Grandma Evelyn was my beacon. Her Waco cottage, tucked under ancient Texas oaks, was a sanctuary, its air thick with the warm, sweet scent of pecan pie baking in her old oven. Evelyn wasn't just my grandmother. She was a force, a woman who'd built a diner from nothing in a dusty town, serving truckers and locals with a smile that could light up the darkest night. While my parents poured their love into my sister Hannah, Evelyn saw me, Jessica, for who I was. Weekends with her were my escape from the Fort Worth house where I was always second best. We'd sit at her scarred kitchen table, playing gin rummy, her sharp eyes watching me as she dealt the cards. "Your light scares people who live in the dark, Jess," she'd say, her voice steady as the Texas plains. Those words sank into my bones, a lifeline when I felt drowned by my family's indifference. She taught me about grit, about building something from nothing, just as she had with her diner. We'd knead dough for kolaches, a Texas tradition, her hands guiding mine as she said, "You don't need their permission to shine." She'd tell stories of her early days, of scraping by during lean years, of outsmarting suppliers who underestimated her. "A sharp mind and a stubborn heart will take you far," she'd tell me, her laughter warm like a summer evening. I'd sit on her porch swing, the creak of the chains blending with cicadas, dreaming of a life where I'd prove her right. Evelyn didn't just give me attention, she gave me tools. She'd pull out old ledger books, showing me how she balanced her diner's accounts, teaching me the value of every dollar earned. One night, under a Texas sky blazing with stars, she pointed to the Big Dipper and said, "Find your own path, Jess, even if it's lonely." Those moments built a fire in me, a quiet determination to rise above the neglect at home. While my parents celebrated Hannah's every step, Evelyn celebrated my questions, my ideas, my hunger to be more. She saw the girl who fixed neighbors' computers, who aced math tests, and told me I was enough. Her cottage was my haven, where I could breathe without the weight of being less. Evelyn wasn't just family. She was my mirror, reflecting a version of myself I couldn't yet see. Her belief in me was the foundation I'd build my life on, a gift that would carry me through the betrayals to come. When Grandma Evelyn passed, it was like losing the sun. Her death from a sudden stroke left a hole in my heart I didn't know how to fill. I was in my sophomore year at UT Austin, chasing a business degree when the call came. The grief was raw, a weight that pressed against my chest as I drove to Waco for her funeral. My parents, Linda and Michael, seemed more preoccupied with logistics than mourning. Hannah, my sister, sobbed dramatically in the front row, though she'd barely visited Evelyn in years. I stood alone by her coffin, clutching a kolache recipe card she'd given me, her handwriting a reminder of her love. 2 weeks later, her lawyer called. Evelyn had left me $15,000 and her collection of antique jewelry, delicate silver pieces she'd worn running her diner. "She was specific," the lawyer said. "This is for you alone, Jessica." That choice, her final act of love, felt like a shield against the world. But when I told my parents, their reaction was venomous. "I'm her daughter," Mom snapped over the phone. "I should have gotten something." Dad chimed in. "Share it with Hannah, she's struggling to process this." Their voices crackled through the line, sharp as a Texas norther, demanding I give up what Evelyn had entrusted to me. I refused. For the first time, someone had chosen me, seen my worth, and I wouldn't betray that. Their anger only deepened my resolve. I'd sit in my dorm, holding Evelyn's locket, its weight grounding me as I whispered, "I'll make you proud." That $15,000 wasn't just money. It was a seed, a chance to build something my parents couldn't dismiss. The jewelry, each piece etched with Evelyn's strength, became my talisman. I'd wear her silver bracelet, its soft clink a reminder of her lessons as I studied late into the night. My parents' fury showed me their true colors. Hannah was their priority, even in grief. I found a photo of Evelyn and me, laughing over a batch of burnt collages, and taped it to my mirror, a daily vow to honor her faith in me. That inheritance wasn't about wealth. It was about trust, about Evelyn seeing the fire in me when no one else did. Her Waco cottage, now empty, haunted my dreams, but its warmth lived in me. Years later, when my parents tried to take what I built, it was Evelyn's voice I heard, urging me to stand firm. Her legacy wasn't just money or jewelry. It was the courage to claim my place, no matter who tried to erase me. Evelyn's belief in me didn't fade with her death. It grew, a steady flame that guided my path. Her words, "Build something they can't ignore," became my mantra, echoing through every choice I made. In my Austin apartment, starting my company, I'd touch her silver bracelet, feeling her strength as I coded through the night. That $15,000 seeded Lone Star Solutions, my tech company, but her lessons were the real foundation. Grit, self-reliance, the refusal to let others dim my light. I found a letter tucked in her recipe book, her handwriting bold. "Jess, your dreams are your power. Don't let anyone steal them." Those words carried me through failures, through nights when doubt clawed at me. When my first software launch crashed, I heard Evelyn's voice, telling me to get up, to keep going. Under Texas stars, I'd walk Austin's trails, her words a compass, guiding me to rebuild stronger. Her faith in me was a shield when my parents dismissed my success as luck, when they demanded what I'd earned. At a foundation event years later, mentoring young Texas women, I felt Evelyn's spirit in their ambition, her legacy alive in their dreams. She taught me my worth wasn't tied to my family's approval. That truth, forged in her Waco kitchen, gave me the strength to face their betrayal and build a life they couldn't touch. I'm Jessica Reynolds, 34, and I built a multi-million-dollar tech company from nothing, right here in Austin. But this isn't a success story. It's about betrayal, the kind that cuts deepest from those who should love you most. My parents, Linda and Michael Carter, always chose my younger sister, Hannah, over me. Her smile lit their world. I was the shadow they overlooked. I thought I'd buried that hurt, built a life beyond it, until a certified letter arrived on my 34th birthday. Its cold words hit like a Texas storm. They disinherited me, called my success luck, and later demanded what I'd earned. They didn't just reject me. They tried to take everything I'd fought for. I can still feel the sting of their signatures. Regards, Linda Carter. As if I were a stranger, not their daughter. This is a story of standing tall when family becomes the enemy. It's about the pain of being erased and the strength to rebuild. Under these Texas skies, I learned my worth wasn't theirs to define. If you've ever felt invisible to those who should see you, this story is for you. Maybe your family favored someone else, dismissed your victories, or turned on you when you succeeded. Maybe you've stood under wide Texas stars, wondering why love came with conditions. I know that ache, the betrayal that lingers like a bruise. But I also know the power of rising above it. Stick around as I share how my parents' rejection led to a battle I never expected, and how I found peace on the other side. Your story matters too, let's talk about it. If this hits home, hit that subscribe button to join a community where we share stories of resilience and truth. Drop your story in the comments. Have you faced betrayal from those closest to you? How did you protect your peace? Let's build a space as strong as a Texas oak, where we lift each other up. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Together we can turn pain into power. Under these Austin stars I found my strength. Let's help others find theirs. Subscribe now and let's keep this journey going. High school was my escape plan, a way out of the Fort Worth house where I was always second to my sister, Hannah. I poured every ounce of myself into my studies, staying up late with textbooks, determined to prove I was more than my parents' afterthought. My hard work paid off. I earned a scholarship to UT Austin's business school, graduating top of my class. But when commencement day came, my parents, Linda and Michael, left early to attend Hannah's friend's quinceanera. Their absence stung, but I stood on that stage under the Texas sun, clutching my diploma, vowing to build a life they couldn't ignore at UT. I found my people. Rachel, my roommate, became the sister I never had, staying up late with me, dreaming over cheap coffee about a future where we'd make our mark. David, a computer science major, opened my eyes to the world of tech startups. We'd sit on the South Mall, the tower glowing orange, sketching ideas for apps that could change lives. They saw potential in me, not the shadow my parents saw. I joined business clubs, soaked up every lecture, and worked part-time at a tech repair shop, learning code between fixing screens. I'd walk Austin streets at dusk, the city's energy fueling my hunger to create something big. My parents never asked about my ambitions. During rare calls, Mom would say, "At least you're paying your bills," as if that was all I should hope for. I'd hang up, staring at the Austin skyline from my dorm window, Evelyn's words echoing, "Your light scares them, Jess." I distanced myself from home, visiting only on holidays, each trip a reminder of my place. Hannah's life, her parties, her dramas, dominated their attention, while my achievements were met with shrugs. Once, I tried telling Dad about a business pitch contest I won. He cut me off. "Hannah's got a new job. Let's talk about that." The rejection hardened my resolve. I wasn't just chasing a degree. I was chasing a life where I'd never need their approval again. Late nights in the library, I'd wear Evelyn's silver bracelet, its soft clink a reminder of her faith in me. College wasn't just about learning. It was about rebuilding myself. Every A, every connection, every coded line was a brick in the foundation of a future my parents couldn't touch. Under Texas stars, I promised myself I'd shine so bright, no one could look away. That ambition, born from years of being unseen, would carry me through the battles ahead, when my family's betrayal turned from neglect to greed. With Grandma Evelyn's $15,000 inheritance, I took a leap. I founded Lone Star Solutions, a software company to help small businesses manage customers without breaking the bank. I was 24, fresh out of college, living in a tiny Austin apartment that smelled of burnt coffee and ambition. The walls were thin, the AC barely worked, but every night I'd sit under a flickering bulb, coding my dreams into reality. My day job at a small tech firm paid the bills, but nights were for Lone Star. Hours of coding until 3 a.m., fueled by determination and cheap tacos. I'd glance at Austin's skyline, its lights a promise I was chasing. The first launch was a disaster. The software crashed within hours, customers fuming, their emails piling up like accusations. I sat on my bathroom floor at 4 a.m., sobbing, questioning everything. The Texas heat pressed against the window, heavy as my doubt, whispering, "Maybe Mom was right. Maybe this is just a phase." I thought of giving up, of settling for the ordinary life my parents expected. But Evelyn's voice cut through, a sharp mind and a stubborn heart. I pictured her in her Waco kitchen, kneading kolache dough, telling me to keep going. I got up, washed my face and fixed the bugs, working 48 hours straight. Rachel showed up with tacos, her voice firm. "You're tougher than a Texas Longhorn, Jess." Those early days were brutal. I had no social life, no savings, just a vision and Evelyn's inheritance dwindling with every expense. Registering the company, buying a second-hand laptop, paying for server space. I'd walk to the corner store for ramen, passing Austin's tech hubs, dreaming of joining them. David, now in Seattle, would call, offering coding tips when I hit walls. My parents, they didn't care. "That internet stuff's a fad," Dad said over Thanksgiving, waving his fork. Hannah smirked. "Not everyone's cut out for that, Jess." Their dismissal lit a fire. I'd wear Evelyn's locket, its weight grounding me as I coded. Every bug fixed, every line written, was a defiance of their doubt. I wasn't building a company for them. I was building it for me, for Evelyn, for the girl who'd been told she was less. Late nights, I'd see the Texas moon through my window, a quiet witness to my fight. Lone Star wasn't just a business. It was my rebellion, my proof that I could create something undeniable, even when my family refused to see me. That struggle set the stage for what came next, when their indifference turned to greed. The turning point came at a tech networking event in Austin, where I pitched Lone Star Solutions to a room of skeptical faces. The room buzzed with Austin's tech elite, their polished suits a stark contrast to my thrift store blazer. But I stood tall, Evelyn's bracelet glinting on my wrist. Diane Johnson, a tech veteran who'd sold her own company for millions, stopped me afterward. "Your product's got potential," she said, her voice blunt. "But you're thinking too small." Her words hit like a Texas lightning bolt, electrifying my vision. Diane became my mentor, guiding me to refine my strategy, to see Lone Star not as a side hustle but as a game changer. She introduced me to a regional barbecue chain, 30 locations across Texas, that needed exactly what my software offered, a way to track customers without enterprise costs. I drove to their headquarters in Round Rock, my heart pounding, Evelyn's locket tucked under my shirt for luck. Landing that client was my first big check, enough to quit my day job and rent a small office in East Austin. The office was cramped, with mismatched chairs and a leaky ceiling, but it felt like a palace under the Texas sun. I hired 2 recent graduates, both hungry and scrappy like me, and we worked long hours, celebrating every milestone with cheap beer and barbecue takeout. We'd toast under string lights in the office parking lot, Austin's skyline in the distance. Feeling unstoppable, my parents remained unimpressed. I tried sharing my progress over Thanksgiving, hoping they'd see what I was building. Dad cut me off. "That internet stuff's a phase, Jess. Get a real job with a pension." Hannah smirked. "Not everyone's meant to be a workaholic." Their words stung, but I pictured Evelyn's Waco cottage, her voice urging me to keep going. I stopped trying to win their approval, focusing instead on my team, my clients, my dream. Late nights, I'd walk Austin's trails, the Colorado River reflecting city lights, reminding me I was building something bigger than their doubts. The barbecue chain success led to more clients. Local gyms, coffee shops, even a Fort Worth boutique. Lone Star was growing, and so was I. I'd wear Evelyn's silver bracelet, its soft clink a reminder of her faith. As I signed contracts that proved I was enough, my life was taking shape. Friends like Rachel, who dragged me out for tacos when I worked too hard. A condo I bought in a historic Austin brownstone, my first real home, a purpose that filled the void my family left. I'd sit on my balcony, Texas stars above, feeling the weight of my childhood lift. But even as I built this empire, my parents' indifference lingered, a quiet wound. I'd drive past tech startups on Congress Avenue, knowing I'd earned my place among them, yet craving a nod from the family who'd never see it. That success, hard-won and undeniable, made their later betrayal all the more bitter, when they saw my wealth and demanded a share, as if they'd ever believed in me. This turning point wasn't just about a client or a check. It was about claiming my worth, a foundation that would hold when my family tried to tear it down. My 34th birthday started like a dream. I woke up early, went for a run along Austin's Lady Bird Lake, the morning air crisp with the promise of a new year. Brunch with my chosen family, Rachel, David, and a few colleagues from Lone Star Solutions, filled my condo with laughter and warmth. I felt on top of the world, my tech company thriving, my life finally mine after years of clawing my way out of my family's shadow. Then I saw it. A certified letter slipped under my door, its official seal stark against the plain envelope. My name, Jessica Reynolds, was typed in cold black ink. No warmth, no familiarity. I assumed it was business, maybe a contract or legal notice related to the $4.7 million sale of my company to North Star Tech. But when I opened it, my world tilted. The letter was from my parents, Linda and Michael Carter, written with a formality that felt like a slap. They'd updated their will, they said, leaving everything to my younger sister, Hannah. Not a dime for me. Not a thought. My success, the empire I'd built from Grandma Evelyn's $15,000 and my own sweat, was dismissed as luck and the help of others. The words hit like a Texas storm, sudden and merciless, tearing through the peace I'd fought for, signed, "Regards, Linda Carter." It read like a business memo, not a note from the woman who'd raised me. I stood in my condo, rain pattering against the windows, the Austin skyline blurred through my tears, and read it again, hoping I'd misunderstood. But there it was in black and white. I was erased, my existence reduced to a footnote in their lives. Asterisk, I could still hear Mom's voice from childhood, calling Hannah our little star, while I was just practical. Asterisk, this letter wasn't just about money. It was a declaration that I'd never been their daughter. I was in the way that mattered. I thought I'd made peace with their favoritism, with years of being second to Hannah's every whim. I'd built a life without their approval, found love in friends who saw me, created a legacy with my company and the Evelyn Brooks Bank. But this was betrayal on a level I couldn't fathom. I sank into my couch, the letter trembling in my hands, feeling like that 12-year-old girl again, crying under Texas stars, wondering why I wasn't enough. My parents didn't just disinherit me. They denied my worth, my struggle, my very identity. I traced the letter's edges, its paper sharp against my fingers, a physical reminder of their rejection. The weight of it pressed against my chest, a grief I hadn't expected. I'd spent years proving I didn't need them, but this was proof. They'd never seen me at all. The rain fell harder, a Texas downpour mirroring the chaos in my heart. This wasn't just a legal document. It was the start of a war I didn't choose, a betrayal that would lead to their audacity to demand what they dismissed. But in that moment, all I'd felt was the sting of being cast aside again. The letter was only the beginning. A few weeks later, I stumbled across a post from a cousin on social media, a vague mention of my father's heart condition. No one had told me. Not Mom, not Dad, not even Hannah. The news landed like a punch, stealing my breath as I scrolled through photos of family gatherings I wasn't invited to. I called Mom, hoping for clarity, but her voice was clipped, dismissive. "It's under control, Jessica." She'd said no need to worry. Asterisk, no, I had no invitation to visit, no acknowledgement of my concern. Then I learned about a will reading, held in Fort Worth, where my parents formalized their decision to leave everything to Hannah. I wasn't invited. The exclusion felt like a knife, twisting deeper with each detail I pieced together from cousins' stories. When I drove to my dad's funeral, I was heartbroken, my heart heavy with a love I still carried despite everything. I sat in the back of the church, a stranger in my own family, watching Hannah sob in the front row, Mom's arm around her. No one met my eyes. No one offered a seat beside them. Brian, Hannah's husband, accused me, cornered me after the service. "Don't think you can contest the will, Jessica. It's done." His words were a warning, sharp as a Texas wind, meant to push me off further out. Then Hannah, her eyes red but cold, whispered, "You don't belong here." That moment broke something in me, a final thread snapping under the weight of their rejection. I'd come to mourn my father, to find some closure, but I never found it. I found a family instead. I found a asterisk driving back to Austin. I'd realized the highway stretching under gray Texas skies. They'd rewritten our history, casting me as the outsider. Asterisk, the funeral wasn't just a goodbye to Dad. It was a public announcement that I was no longer part of their story. I'd gripped the steering wheel, Evelyn's locket against my chest, its weight grounding me of the one person who'd chosen me. My parents' silence about Dad's illness, their secret will read, Hannah's venom. They weren't just slights. They were a deliberate effort to erase me. I passed fields of Texas bluebonnets, their beauty mocking my pain, and vowed to protect what I'd built. That exclusion fueled my resolve, but it also deepened my wound, setting the stage for the greed that would soon follow. So, the letter wasn't just a piece of paper. It was my parents saying I wasn't their daughter. Not in any way I counted that mattered. I read it 3 times, alone in my office, the Austin skyline glowing mockingly outside, its lights blurring through my tears, every word. Luck, luck, help of others, regards, felt like a blade, cutting me away from my family, away from the fragile hope I'd held that they'd one day see me. Asterisk, I called Rachel, sobbing into the phone, my voice breaking. Hannah's whisper. Who does this to their child? Asterisk, she'd driven over at midnight, her voice steady. Toxic people, Jess. You're worth more than their lies. Asterisk, we sat on our couch, Texas stars above. Her presence anchoring me as I unraveled. The funeral made it worse. Hannah's whisper. You don't belong here, echoed in my mind. I'd lay awake at night. Asterisk, what if they're right? Asterisk, I'd hold an Evelyn's silver locket, its silver cool against my skin, a reminder of her strength. Your light shines, scares them. Asterisk, but even her strength couldn't dull the pain. I questioned everything. Had I been family? Was I wrong to cut them off? I'd walk Lady Bird Lake at dawn, the Texas sunrise burning away my doubts, but the grief lingered. Therapy helped me name it. Betrayal, not just betrayal of trust, but of love. It was they dismissed my hustle, everything success, my empire, everything I'd built, and then had the audacity to exclude me from their lives. Asterisk, she'd say. What does family mean? Asterisk, and I'd realized I'd been fighting for a family that never existed. Asterisk, I'd been angry too. A fire had burned their betrayal. Asterisk, I was angry at my sister's cruelty. I'd drive through Austin's hills, the open Texas roads stretching under a sky, knowing I'd never letting them dim me again. I thought the certified letter was the worst my family could do. I was wrong. Months after my father's funeral, after their cold dismissal of my existence, they showed up at my Austin home unannounced. My mother, Linda Carter, my sister Hannah, and her husband Brian stood on my doorstep, their faces a mix of entitlement and desperation. I hadn't seen them since the funeral, where Hannah whispered I didn't belong, and Brian warned me against contesting the will. The Texas sun beat down, harsh and unforgiving as I opened the door, my heart sinking like a stone in the Colorado River. They didn't come to reconcile or mourn, they came to demand. Linda's voice was sharp, no trace of the mother I'd once known. We need to talk about your company sale, she said, her eyes avoiding mine. You owe us. Owe them. I'd built Lone Star Solutions from nothing, with Grandma Evelyn's $15,000 and years of sleepless nights, while they dismissed my work as a fad. I stood frozen, the Austin skyline looming behind them through my window, a reminder of everything I'd earned without their help. They claimed a third of the $4.7 million I'd made selling my company to North Star Tech, citing a verbal contract from a twisted conversation when I was in college. I'd mentioned wanting to help family one day, a naive dream of unity, but they'd warped it into a lie. Linda handed me a forged document, my father's handwriting crudely mimicked, its ink a betrayal as sharp as her gaze. Brian stepped forward, his voice low and threatening. Don't make this harder than it needs to be, Jessica. We'll take you to court if we have to. I could smell his cheap cologne, feel the heat of his arrogance, as if my life's work was theirs to claim. Hannah, silent until then, added, You've always been selfish, Jess. It's time to do right by us. Selfish. I'd spent my life proving my worth while they poured everything into her. Her words cut like a Texas norther, cold and biting, echoing the childhood slights I'd buried. I felt the weight of their greed, their audacity to demand what they'd never supported. I gripped Evelyn's locket, its silver cool against my palm, grounding me as their voices rose. I told them to leave, my voice steady despite the storm inside. There's no contract, I said. You're not getting a cent. Linda's face twisted, a mix of shock and fury. You'll regret this, she spat, turning away. As they walked back to their car, the Texas heat shimmering off the pavement, I felt a chill, knowing this wasn't over. I closed the door, my hands shaking, and sank to the floor. The Austin skyline glowed outside, a silent witness to their betrayal, as I realized they'd never seen me as family, only as a resource to exploit. This wasn't just a confrontation. It was a declaration of war, a family turning predator, ready to tear down what I'd built. I whispered to myself under my breath, "Evelyn, help me fight this." Her strength the only thing keeping me upright. Their threat of a lawsuit loomed, but I wasn't the scared girl they'd overlooked anymore. I was ready to defend what was mine. I didn't waste time. The next morning I called Gregory Wilson, my lawyer, a no-nonsense Texan who'd handled my company's sale. I told him about the confrontation, the forged document, their absurd claim of a verbal contract. I could still see Linda's handwriting on that fake paper, a mockery of my father's memory, twisting my stomach. Gregory's voice was calm but firm. "This is extortion, Jessica. They don't have a leg to stand on." His words were a lifeline, pulling me from the panic that had kept me awake, staring at Austin's skyline through my bedroom window. He dug into their history, and what he found was a pattern. My parents had pulled this before, shaking down a cousin for lottery winnings years ago, settling out of court when their lies unraveled. The revelation hit like a Texas dust storm, raw and relentless, exposing their greed as a lifelong habit. Gregory built my defense like a fortress. We gathered evidence. My scholarship records proving I'd funded my own education, bank statements showing Evelyn's $15,000 as my company's seed, not a penny from them, emails and contracts tracing Lone Star's growth, all tied to my hustle. I spent nights in my condo, poring over old files, Evelyn's locket around my neck, its weight a reminder of what I was fighting for. Their claim rested on distortion, a vague conversation they'd spun into a promise. I remembered that college talk, a hopeful moment when I thought success might bridge our gap, now weaponized against me. Gregory found inconsistencies in their story, dates that didn't line up, witnesses who contradicted them. He showed me their financial records, a mess of debt and mismanagement, proof they saw my wealth as their bailout. I wasn't just defending my money. I was defending my truth, my years of work they dismissed as luck. Driving to Gregory's office, Austin's hills rolling past, I felt a quiet strength, like the Texas oaks standing firm against the wind. Rachel stood by me, bringing coffee and fierce support, reminding me I wasn't alone. She'd say, "They can't take what you built, Jess. You're a Texas Longhorn, unbreakable." The legal prep was grueling, but it clarified something. My parents and Hannah weren't family. They were predators, circling what I'd created. I'd look at Evelyn's photo on my desk, her smile urging me to fight, knowing this was about more than money. As we prepared for court, I felt ready not just to win, but to expose their lies, to stand tall where they tried to cut me down. The courtroom was a battlefield, stark and silent, but I was ready. In Austin's district court, I sat beside Gregory, my heart pounding but my resolve ironclad. My parents, Linda and Hannah, sat across the room with Brian, their faces a mix of defiance and desperation. The Texas flag hung behind the judge, a reminder of the justice I sought in the state I'd made my home. Gregory laid out our case with precision, dismantling their claim like a house of cards. He presented my company's records, my scholarships, the $15,000 from Evelyn, proof I'd built Lone Star alone. I clutched Evelyn's locket under my blouse, its familiar weight steadying me as he spoke. Their lawyer stumbled, relying on the forged document and a flimsy story of a verbal contract. Gregory exposed their history, the cousin they'd extorted, their financial chaos. When he showed the judge their debt records, I saw Linda flinch, a crack in her facade, like a Texas drought splitting the earth. The judge, a woman with a stern gaze, questioned Linda directly. "Your credibility is in question," she said, her voice cutting through the room. That moment was a bomb. Her glance at Linda, a validation I'd craved my whole life. Hannah's testimony faltered, her voice shaking as she tried to justify their demand. I met her eyes, seeing not my sister, but a stranger who'd chosen greed over family. The judge dismissed the case in minutes, ruling their claim baseless, filed in bad faith. Relief washed over me like a Texas rain after a long dry spell, cleansing the weight of their betrayal. As we left the courtroom, Linda avoided my gaze. Brian muttered under his breath, and Hannah walked away without a word. I stepped into the Austin sunlight, the skyline gleaming, feeling taller, stronger, like the Texas oaks I'd always admired. This wasn't just a legal win, it was a reckoning. They'd tried to take what I'd built, to profit from a life they'd scorned, but they failed. Driving home, Austin's hills stretching before me, I felt Evelyn's presence, her voice whispering, "You did it, Jess." The victory wasn't about money. It was about truth, about proving my worth against their lies. I stopped by Lady Bird Lake, the Texas sunset painting the water gold, and let the pain of their greed slip away. This moment closed a chapter, not with revenge, but with justice, a foundation for the healing to come. The courtroom victory was a weight lifted, but the scars of my family's betrayal lingered like a bruise that wouldn't fade. I'd won against their greed, but I hadn't healed from the pain of being erased. By the certified letter, by Hannah's cruel whisper at the funeral, by years of being second best. I'd wake at night, the Austin skyline glowing outside my window, haunted by the question, why wasn't I enough? I knew I couldn't carry that ache forever. So, I started therapy with Dr. Rebecca Winters, a soft-spoken woman whose office felt like a safe harbor. She helped me unravel the grief, not just for my parents' rejection, but for the family I deserved but never had. In one session, under a canopy of Texas oaks outside her office, I broke down, admitting I'd spent my life proving my worth to people who'd never see it. Dr. Winters asked, "What does family mean to you, Jessica?" That question cracked me open. I realized I'd been chasing a version of love that didn't exist, not with my parents or Hannah. I'd sit by Lady Bird Lake after sessions, the Texas sunset painting the water, and let myself mourn the childhood I'd lost. Therapy taught me to name the pain, betrayal, abandonment, a love withheld. It wasn't about forgiving my family, I wasn't there yet, but about freeing myself from their shadow. I'd drive through Austin's hills, the open road a mirror to my growing clarity, understanding my worth wasn't tied to their approval. Dr. Winters helped me see the strength in my story, how every step, from fixing neighbors' computers at 14 to building Lone Star Solutions, was a defiance of their doubt. I'd hold Grandma Evelyn's locket, its silver warm from my touch, and feel her belief in me, a balm against the wounds. The healing wasn't linear. Some days I'd rage at the unfairness, others I'd feel light, unburdened. One evening, watching fireflies dance in my Austin garden, I realized I wasn't invisible anymore. Not to myself. Therapy gave me tools to rebuild, to redefine family as the people who chose me. Rachel, David, my ments. This reflection wasn't the end of my pain, but it was a beginning, a foundation for a life where I could stand tall, free from the weight of their rejection, ready to leave a legacy that mattered. Healing meant looking forward, not just inward. I founded the Evelyn Brooks Foundation to honor Grandma Evelyn, the one person who'd always seen my light. The foundation supports Texas women entrepreneurs, giving them the tools, grants, mentorship, community, to chase their dreams, just as Evelyn had encouraged me. At our first event, I stood in an Austin ballroom, watching young women pitch their startups, their ambition a mirror of my own under Texas stars. I saw Evelyn's spirit in their fire, her belief in me now a gift I could pass on. I'd wear her silver bracelet, its soft clink a reminder of the Kolach lessons where she taught me to shine. I also made a choice about Hannah's twins, my niece and nephew. I set up trust funds for their education, not out of obligation, but because I wanted them to have a chance at a future free from their parents' greed. I signed the papers in my condo, the Austin skyline glowing, feeling a quiet peace in doing right without expecting reconciliation. The funds came with boundaries. Hannah and Brian had no access, ensuring my gift couldn't be twisted. A year after the lawsuit, Hannah reached out, asking to meet for coffee. I hesitated, the memory of her venom still sharp, but I went. We sat at a small Austin cafe, the Texas breeze carrying the scent of cedar, and talked cautiously, not as sisters, but as strangers testing fragile ground. It wasn't forgiveness, just a step, a moment of acknowledgement that didn't erase the past. Driving home, I passed fields of bluebonnets. Their resilience a reminder that growth can come from broken soil. The foundation became my true legacy, a way to transform my pain into purpose. At a workshop in Waco, near Evelyn's old cottage, I mentored a young coder, her eyes bright with dreams, and felt Evelyn's presence, smiling. I built a life beyond my family's reach. Friends who became family, a condo filled with laughter, a mission that lit me up. I'd sit in my garden, Texas fireflies flickering, knowing I'd created something they couldn't take. This wasn't about revenge. It was about rising, about leaving a mark that honored the girl who'd stargazed in Fort Worth, dreaming of a life where she'd matter. Under Austin's vast sky, I found my place, not as their daughter, but as a woman who turned betrayal into a legacy of love. The Evelyn Brooks Foundation, those trust funds, that coffee with Hannah, they were my way of closing the circle, of building a future stronger than the past. This journey taught me what family truly means. My parents, Linda and Michael, and my sister Hannah chose greed over love, leaving me nothing but pain. But I found my real family in those who saw my worth. Rachel, who brought tacos at my lowest. David, who believed in my tech dreams. My Ments, whose ambitions light up the Evelyn Brooks Foundation. Under Texas stars, I learned to build a home in people who choose me back. If you've felt the sting of betrayal, the ache of being unseen by those who should love you most, you're not alone. Maybe you've stood in a quiet Texas night, wondering why you weren't enough. I've been there too. My story isn't about revenge. It's about rising, about turning pain into purpose. I built a life they couldn't touch, a legacy that honors Grandma Evelyn's belief in me. I found strength in Austin's open skies, where fireflies dance and dreams take root. You can do the same. Share your story in the comments. How have you set boundaries, protected your peace, or rebuilt after betrayal? Let's create a space as strong as a Texas oak, where we lift each other up. Hit that subscribe button to join our community, where we share tales of resilience and truth. Every click is a step toward healing, a nod to the Texas spirit that keeps us standing tall. If you know someone who needs this, share this video. Let's show them they're not alone. I've walked Austin's trails, feeling the weight of my past lift, and I want that for you too. Your voice matters, your pain is valid, and your strength is real. Let's keep this journey going together, proving that no betrayal can dim our light. Under these vast Texas skies, I found my place. You can find yours too. Subscribe, comment, share, and let's build something unbreakable, one story at a time.